Okay, so let us continue again on data pre-processing. So we have covered so far many of the aspects of data pre-processing. So in current discussion we are going to discuss on training, validation and testing splitting of data. Okay, so we have got some data file and we have already done some pre-processing on the data. Now when we are going to give the data to the machine learning algorithm, then it is very important that we split our data. Okay, so we have to split our data in a training set, a validation set and a test set is very important. How I am going to do this and what is the significance, that we are going to discuss gradually. So the first one is training data. Okay, so what is training data? Machine learning algorithms are actually trained on this data to build a model. So you can say this is the input given to the machine learning algorithms. So we first split the data and we give that training portion of the data to the machine learning algorithms. So these algorithms take this data set and try to learn from the data set. Okay, try to learn from the various features, various characteristics of the data set and try to have some understanding on the data set, on the nature of the data set, and based on that it can generate some prediction of the data. Okay, then I have written that it raises the issue of overfitting and underfitting. So what is that? I'll come to that later. So I have first divided the data and I have taken one portion as the training data, and then comes the validation data. So actually say I have total 100 records in a data set. Now you know that in the data set the every column we term them as feature, and if a specific value, a specific set of features, if they are giving us the target value, means actually I am trying to predict that value. So again I will go to the Titanic dataset example. So if you remember, we had all the passenger details in the Titanic dataset and there was a column named survived. So our purpose was that based on all the columns, all the features, I wanted to understand that how all these features and characteristics of the passenger is related to the factor that whether the passenger survived or not. So in that case I can say that my target is survived and rest of the columns are features. So based on the values in rest of the features, I want to predict that whether that person survived or not, and in that data set that survived value was already given. So what I can do, I will take the training data set where maybe from these 100 records, first of all I will take 80 records of that, and in that 80 records this target value is my validation data. Okay, so actually what I want to do, that I want to validate that this part is working or not. So what I am going to do, I am feeding that 80% data to the machine learning model, and then it will generate it has that target value. So based on the target and the features given, it will try to generate some output, some outcome, and then this validation data will have this this output, that what is the possible output, and then it validates that how the model fits. Okay, so that is my validation data. Here I am validates that how the model fits with that. Okay, and then after that I have some test data. So suppose I have taken some 20 records as test data, I have just put them aside. Okay, so I have not taken that data for the machine learning algorithm. We will have hands on, and we will have when we will implement machine learning algorithm, so we will understand it better, but for now we should be familiar with the steps we are going to follow. Okay, so training data and test data, so and few that validation data, that is the actually the output that is coming and what my model is giving. So how it is means how it is closely related with the actual output and the predicted output. So test data, we keep some 20% of the record aside. So when our model is ready, then we feed that test data to understand that whether that model is working correctly or not. Okay, so for the test data we feed to the machine learning model, and it generates the output for us, and then we compare that with the validation data. So first of all, training is kind of, that you are getting training on data science, right? Then there are some tests. So once you have the training, you have the understanding, then the tests are there. So you give the test, and there is a validation data set where I am comparing that whether how you were correct in the testing. Okay, so these are the things. Okay, training data, validation data, and test data. And then there is the split ratio. I told you initially that if I have 100 records, then I can take 80 records for training and 20 records for testing. So but that is not hard and fast rule, but generally it is 70-30 or 80-20 is the ratio, general ratio that is followed, so that we should have most of the data, that place we should keep a balance. Means you should understand that training means that if I put entire data set in the training, then it will be difficult. If I have only a few records for testing, then it will be difficult to test that whether that model is perfect or not. Or on the other side, if I give a very less number of training data and huge testing data, then again it will be problematic, because only with a very less number of training data, the model may not be in a position to correctly predict outcome always. So you can just compare it with your current scenario. Maybe as students, if you get so many of training material and only a very few exam, then it is very difficult for me to justify that how was your performance, how you have studied or how you have learned. On the other side, if I give you a very small training and if I ask you many questions, then again it will not be possible for you. So that is the ratio. We have to be well balanced. And in the many when it was running, algorithms were run, it was seen that in most of the cases it is 80-20 or 70-30 or 75-25 is a good ratio where the algorithms work the best. Okay, then comes the terms overfitting and underfitting. I told you when we are discussing on training data, actually I believe that you already have some feeling when I discussed about that when you have too much of training and you have very less number of testing, then you are facing the difficulty. And when you have very less amount of training and lot of testing, that also create difficulty. Okay, so what is overfitting? Overfitting is model created based exactly on the training data may fail for test data. Means what happens that you have many of the training data you are with you. So what you are doing, that you are exactly learning from the training data, like instead of learning the concepts, if you learn only the specifics. Suppose there are some code snippets are shared with you, so maybe the purpose is that you should understand how the algorithms work, but instead of that, if you can, maybe that you are just memorizing all the logics of the code given. So maybe if the exam is on that particular code, then you will do very good. But if some code is there in the exam which is totally outside of your training set, then if you have not learned about the concept, but you have learned about mainly the code given to you, then you may fail in the exam, or you may not do that good performance in the exam. So that concept is overfitting, where it is too much inclined to the training set instead of the general characteristic. Okay, what may be the unknown data? If I am not aware of that, then it is overfitting. And what is underfitting? Relationships in training data not considered in the model. So underfitting means that training data is not considered so seriously. It is very vague or very superficial information is retrieved from the training data for the model. So if that is also the case, then also in the test it is going to fail, right? So if you have some code, some sample code is with you for studying, and you are thinking that okay, no, the question will come from outside only, so why to learn all these things, and you don't learn at all the code, then in that case also what will happen, you don't have the concept, you don't have the idea, even you are not familiar with the code, so then also you cannot do very well in the test. So it's like a very well balanced thing. You should understand the training data given, and you should understand the concept also. So that balance is very important. Okay, so two terms come in the picture. One is high variance. High variance means when the model is too much dependent on training data, then it's called high variance. And high bias means when the model ignores most features of the training data. So you understand, the high variance occurs in case of overfitting, and high bias occurs in case of underfitting. Okay, then validation set: combination of training and test data for model creation can prevent overfitting and underfitting. So validation set means it's actually a very good combination of training and test data in such a way that okay, this data, this particular percentage will go for training, this particular set of data will go for testing, and training data is fit to model, and then it understand, then the test data is validated. So if that we can do, then it is a validation set. Okay, fine. So we have discussed about the theory, so we'll move to the Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so here I have imported, apart from NumPy and Pandas, I have imported this model selection from sklearn, and it is, I am actually importing train test split. Okay, so this module will help me to do the splitting of data. Okay, so ls7.columns. So ls7 was the data set, if you remember, that we had done in the last session. So we had, this is the ls7 where we have added all these new columns we had created for feature encoding, binarization, etc. Okay, so these are the many columns this data set have. Now I am populating this age column with the mean age. Fine. Next I am creating one data set from this table, and only with these columns. Okay, actually I am taking the original columns of the data set. Okay, and I am not taking the other columns that I have created through some pre-processing steps. So let us execute. Next, so these are the data. Okay, fine. This is the X, and one thing you will find here, that in this data set I have removed one column from the original set, that is the winner. So here my purpose is actually that this, from all the features, all the characteristics of the candidates, I want to know that whether the candidate is a winner or not. How, if I can do some analysis, and I can find some prediction based on other features given, that whether that candidate was a winner. Okay, so here I have taken another data set I have created, that is called Y, and here I have taken only the winner column. Okay, so if you execute, you can see, sorry, no data, it is ls7. So it is the winner column which is having the values 1 or 0. Now I am calling this train test split function, where I am sending x, y. So x is the data set having all the columns except winner, y is the data set having only the winner column, and test size equal to 0.2 means that for the entire data set 20% data will be for testing, and 80% data will be for training. So if you see, 4 variables are created. Okay, so x train, x test, that means the entire x data set, it is divided in 80% and 20%, and similarly for y also it is y train and y test. So let us execute. Okay, so if you print the shape of these data sets, you can see that there are 1810 records and 19 columns in the first data set, that is x train, it is x test, and this is y train and y test. Okay, so that is how I have divided my data set. So once I have divided my data set, I can fit this four criteria, means x train, x test, y train and y test, I can fit in the machine learning model. So what may be my purpose, that I will feed x train and x test to the machine learning model, then I will test with the y train data set and I will validate with the y test data set, because when I will give y train, then the machine learning model should generate the output, some possible output, predicted output, then I can compare with this actual output, so I can do the validation. So I hope it is now clear with you. So we will move to the next part of the data pre-processing. Okay, so we have splitted the data. Now the next thing we are going to discuss is feature scaling. Feature scaling has two things broadly, one is standardization and one is normalization. So what is standardization? Here the data is centered by removing the mean value of each feature and then scale it by dividing the features by their standard deviation. So it is actually you can say that suppose the variance is huge. Okay, the data is varied in a very long region, means maybe from 0 to some 1 crore or something. Okay, so if data is varied, then it actually creates difficulty when we are running the machine learning models. So if we can do some standardization, means maybe we are trying with this process is that the mean should be 0 and the values should be equally distributed in both sides of the mean. So it will be a well balanced distribution of data, and it actually helps a lot in the machine learning algorithms. So here you understand that as I am just subtracting the mean value, so the mean will be 0 and the standard deviation will be 1. It actually drastically improves the performance of the models, and this sklearn library, it provides a bunch of scalars, means there are different ways I can implement this standardization. There are 4 standard scalar, min max scalar, max f scalar and robust scalar. Okay, so I will just quickly go through them. So one is standard scalar. Here we just the new value of x. So if x is a feature, the new value of x is just x minus u by s. Here u is the mean and s is the standard deviation. Then I have this min max scalar. It is like it is the minimum value of x. First it calculates the minimum and maximum value, then it is x minus minimum x by max x minus min x. So though the formulas are given, but actually we really need not bother about the formulas. We only have to understand that what may be the suitable standardization technique for our data type, because all these equations, all these calculations will be done by the library modules itself. Okay, so it works better for cases when the distribution is not Gaussian or the standard deviation is very small. In those cases we can consider this. Then we have this max f scalar. Okay, it scale the data to -1 and 1 range, and it is for the data where already centered at 0 or sparse data. So if there are many it is a sparse kind of data set, then it is helpful, this max f scalar. And robust scalar, it is good for data with many outliers. So you understand that whenever I am doing with some mean value of the data set, and suppose there are 90% data in the range 0 to 50, and if there is one data or two data points which are in some thousands, so you can understand that how the mean will be changed for the outlier. So in case of data where there are outliers are present, then instead of mean we handle this standardization with the median and the interquartile range. So in case of outliers present in the data, then this robust scalar will be useful. Okay, so we'll go to Jupyter Notebook again and we'll do some practical implementation of standardization. Okay, so this is the age value of x. Okay, so here I am importing this standard scalar and I'm just fit transform. You understand that it's actually the library function, so most of the things are done. We only have to just implement the syntax. So this is scalar 1, so it has generated some new values for this age column. Okay, I am just doing this for different scalars so that you can understand that how these values differ, how this standardization differs, the calculations differ from one another. Okay, so I have created 4 scalars, you understand, scalar 1, scalar 2, 3 and 4, and here I am creating some data frames from these scalars and I am giving the name as this, column name as this. So now I have created 4 data frames, and what I am doing with LS7, I am adding all these 4 data frames I have just created. Okay, so let us execute. So it's done. So now if you execute this LS8, if you go there, you can find that age scalar 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are the values. You can understand that the values differ, means how it is, the calculation is done based on the values differ. So we can do any of the standardization as per our requirement, and if we know the nature of the data, it will be easy to identify that which scalar method or which standardization method will be helpful for us. Okay, so I will go back here. Now the next thing of feature scaling is normalization. It is the process of scaling individual samples to have unit norm. Okay, so what we have done is standardization, it was with the column, respect to column. For one column I have changed all the values, but here normalization means it is done row wise. Okay, for a particular row, the columns values, the values are changed for the numerical columns. Okay, so it provides 3 types of normalization. It is L1, L2 and max. So it has some different formulas. So these are only some outlines, so you need not do any calculations. Different types of normalization, only all the logic are already available, so we only have to do this. We have to just run this. So you can see again I have taken another data set x1 having these many columns. You know that normalization will be done only on the numerical columns, so I have taken a subset of the data frame LS7 and only with the numerical column values. Okay, so let us run, and then I have called this okay, fine, first I should do this. So I have taken 3 normalizers, one is L1 and L2 and max. These are the formulas that how the data is getting normalized. So let us first execute this, and then this x1 is created. Okay, okay, let us first print some of the records, so we have some idea about the data we have. So these are the data that is present currently. So how normalization is helping, that you can understand that these are numeric data, but it is totally different in range, right? Because if you understand that, suppose this total votes, it may be in lakhs, right? Here over total electors, it is something only some decimal number, and it is only less than 100. And if you see this age, it is also will be maximum 80 or 90, right? But if I have to do some prediction based on the value in the numeric columns, then it is going to vary a lot, right? Because some of the columns have very huge values and some of the columns have very small values based on the nature of the data. So in normalization, what happens that okay, what happens that I will tell you. First let us execute. So I am doing the normalization for x1 in different ways. So again I am creating some data frames. So norm 1, norm 2 and norm 3. So if you just execute this, so you can see now that these are the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 columns, like means here there are total 7 columns, and this is the data. If you see the data for any row, so the data becomes very similar with one another, right? All are in decimal fraction number, so it's like similar, they have become similar. So if some weightage is given to the value, then there is no chance that, suppose total votes is a huge big column with a big data value, that will not get any influence. So they all have become normalized. That's why the process is called normalization. Now if I see this, so the purpose is only to show that the value after normalization changes based on the different normalization methods. So but ultimately the purpose is the same. Here what I am doing, that when there are different numeric columns in records, then if they have different range of numeric values, that may influence incorrectly the machine learning model. So we can do some normalization of the numeric data so that they are in the same kind of range, they are in the same level, normalized. Okay, that's why this normalization is very effective. So we have learned about standardization and normalization. There are still some things are pending in data pre-processing that we'll learn in the coming tutorials. Okay, so thank you for now.